How's it going, guys? This is the Loewenator, and welcome back to another video here on the channel. And today is a Street Fighter 6 related video, so if you guys are here for the Pokemon, sorry to disappoint you. But what I wanted to do today, because I feel like I've played Street Fighter for a pretty good long while to know that I know what I'm doing, and I know how to navigate these games relatively well, just not at the top level to where I can win tournaments consistently. I will say that with this video, so we're doing a Jamie matchups tier list. I feel like with the amount of time that I've spent with Jamie, I feel like I can put my opinion out there a little bit and maybe get some insight for you guys on what I think the matchups are and from my experience. So it will be opinionated as usual. Every single person will tell you this in a content creation video related to tier lists. It'll always be opinionated. So if you guys have any other ways of saying that you don't like where I place these characters, because obviously I still have things to learn about fighting these characters, it's going to be opinionated for sure. So if you have any other comments about it, please let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. Is there anything you would change about the choices that I make in the tier list? And if there's any suggestions and advice you guys can tell me about the matchup, that would be fantastic. If you guys are excited for today's video, make sure you hit that like button down below for me, because it's always appreciated. Your support on the content is always appreciated as well. And make sure you guys subscribe as well with that notification bell on, so you guys do not miss out. I want to get to 200 subscribers very soon, and your support would mean the absolute world to me. So with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Okay. Full disclosure, am I the best Jamie player in the world? Absolutely not. But I will say, I have a little bit of knowledge with Jamie to know that I have fought all these characters, and I will tell you the struggles that I've gone through, and I will tell you what I think the matchups are. So, let's start with the old poster boy. Let's go in order of this tier list. Let's go in order of what they give us down below in the pin images. Let's start with Ryu. So, Ryu is interesting. So obviously Akuma has the better fireball out of the Shotos, and Ken has a OD fireball to leave you standing to get lots of damage off of the fireball. Ryu's just knocks down a little bit faster than Ken's, to where it's not really that threatening. So I would say, okay, so what I have here is basically the red 6-4 at the top. Those are matchups he loses, and then it goes down. So the bottom here are the ones that he wins, and then it goes up. So Ryu, I would say it's even. And the reason why I say that is because in my experience with this character, every time it's gone back and forth, it's either he gets the knockdown on me and they spam donkey kick and do all that stuff, or they do the same stuff that Ryu always does. He does a fireball, you get anti-air if you jump wrong. So my answer to Ryu is, like, try to perfect parry his fireball and punish him so I can get a drink off. And any knockdown that I get, I drink. Always. There will never be a time where I do not drink. And on the other flip side, I will always perfect parry and try to get the fireball punish and space out my palms to where I can knock him down and get drinks as well. His Bakai is a great answer to the fireballs, as well as the perfect pairing, as I mentioned. And it's a momentum game, but at the same time, Jamie can still stop really strong options from Ryu. So, and then once Jamie gets into the corner without his dive kick, that's where Ryu can really smother him in the corner. So, as you can already tell from the buffs that he's gotten this season, Ryu is still really strong, and he can absolutely win against Jamie for sure. There's no doubt in my mind. I struggle against Ryu. But I won't say it's demoralizing. I won't say it's like constant defeat. I will say it's right in the middle. Either I get him by a sliver, he gets me by a sliver, or one of us completely deletes us. It's always neck and neck. Luke. So, as Luke has gotten nerfed, he's been a little bit easier to deal with, but if you're Noah the Prodigy, you're cooked. So what I will say is, every time he goes for a Sandblast, it's a little easier to perfect parry it now. His normals also did get nerfed a little bit. His crouch medium punch isn't as good anymore. His jump heavy punch is not as good anymore. So Jamie has reliable anti-airs against that, like DP and crouch fierce. And the dive kick is really good against his Sandblast, as well as Bakai. And it just doesn't seem like Luke is very demoralizing anymore. So I think it is, but at the same time, Luke has still really good options, and he still has really good options against Jamie. So I would probably call this even as well. It's very rare that Jamie's going to have a very strong matchup or like a really demoralizing matchup unless you're Guile, which we'll get to him, trust me. We will get to him. He's almost coming out next. But yeah, I think Luke is even. It's the same thing as Ryu, but a little bit more easier. I think Luke is easier than Ryu. That's my opinion. I think Ryu is super hard to deal with, but I will 100% say that Luke is not like the easiest character on the planet. He does still have his advancing normals and stuff like that to whiff punish you, but at the same time, obviously it won't be a constant fireball war because the sandblasts are not as good as Ryu's. But yeah, it is even. And here we go. I will 100% say that Chun-Li is 100% a matchup that Jamie loses, but the fireballs are annoying for sure. It's annoying against any character, but at the same time, is it like game changing to where Jamie can't do anything? No, it's not. But Chun-Li's normals on the ground are way better, so she wins on the ground for sure. So you have to kind of drive rush your way in and bulldog your way in with dive kicks and stuff and jump ins. You kind of have to make a read on her fireball, because it's really hard to jump over anyway. So I would say for sure that Chun-Li wins slightly, but she does not dominate completely like a 6-4. But a Chun-Li might have a dip in opinion on that. So if you're a Chun player and you have lots more information to deliver, I would love to hear it. You could change my mind for sure. Guile. I don't think we need to... I really don't think we need to discuss anything here. He's literally the stupidest matchup I've ever seen against Jamie. I don't know what else I can say. His booms are beyond impossible to perfect parry online, and in a stressful situation, he's going to be in the winning side all the time. The dive kicks are good against them, but at the same time, it's not guaranteed. He does have moments where he is going to keep you in a boom loop when you don't have drinks, and it's going to be really hard to get those drinks. So I don't know if next season it'll get any better, because we don't know if Guile's going to get nerfed or not. Highly unlikely, of course, because it's Guile. But yeah, probably one of his worst matchups in the game, I would say. Every single Jamie player will tell you the exact same thing. Guile versus Jamie absolutely sucks for Jamie. It always will. So Guile, absolutely screw you to the max. I don't like you. But I am getting a little bit of an easier time fighting him, so it's not like it's a matchup that I struggle with only, but I do lose to Guiles a lot, so it's not even a momentum matchup, this matchup. It's just, how the hell do you get in? It's literally what it is. How do you get in against Guile? So, it sucks. Worst matchup, one of his worst matchups, bar none. Kimberly. So, Kimberly is interesting. I'm starting to get better at the matchup a little bit. I'm starting to react to her jump elbow, and I'm starting to go into more OSs in reacting to her elbow and regular jumps, because Crouch Fierce with Jamie is a really good option. So I almost want to say that Jamie slightly wins over Kimberly, but at the same time, I don't think I would probably get a lot of agreeing in the comments. So do I put her even with him as well? Because they both have the same game plan, basically. Press stand medium kick to get your drive rush cancels, and then Kimberly gets her Oki and Jamie has to get drinks. So it's just like, what do you really say at that point? So it's a footsie war, basically, is what you're trying to tell me. Yes, it's a footsie war. It's basically who's better on the ground than the other player. So I guess I could say it's even. I could put it even. Like, there's no... Jamie doesn't have the best matchup spread in the game. We all know this. Jamie doesn't have many winning matchups. So it's either going to be even, slightly not in his favor, massively not in his favor, or a little bit in his favor. I will say there's maybe like one or two matchups that he has a really good matchup score in, but I think he only has like maybe 1-6-4. And I'll get to that in a minute, but you really have to pick your spots against the matches that he does have a advantage in. Kimberly, I would say even. Yeah, this matchup is one of my most grim matchups of all time. I really hate Jury so much. So whenever I see Jack winning with her constantly with all the bullshit she has, I get so salty. But that's my Midwest brother. That's one of the Midwest's best players. I can't hate on Jack. Jack is an amazing player. I like the dude. I saw him at EVO 2022. So shout outs to you, Jack. Go subscribe to him. Really good jury player. And I hate this character though. She's really annoying, and I'm gonna put her in slightly out of Jamie's favor. I think Jamie does lose to jury for sure. There's no way you could tell me otherwise. Is it 6-4 like Guile? No. I would say Jamie he definitely has options to fight her, but it's not as demoralizing in terms of like the fireball drive rush is not like that hard to deal with, but it's still really annoying in terms of you always have to frickin' have an option ready to go. Fireball drive rush still hard to deal with, and her normals are just really scary. So any walking forward is not really required. So yeah, I think jury wins against Jamie by slightly, but not like a whole bunch. Dalsum. So the funny thing about Sim is that he loses to the drive system. We know this. So perfect parry his limbs, and whenever he tries to throw fireball, perfect parry it and punish him. But in terms of this matchup, I think it's actually a little bit, like if it's not even, then it's a little bit in Dalsum's favor, and I'm going to tell you why. Because all of the drive rush options that Jamie has against Dalsum are really obvious, and Dalsum's offense and his poking is really strong in terms of like your perfect parries have to be perfect. They have to be such good timed. You have to be really good at perfect parrying fireballs and to get any like leeway versus him. So I would, if you disagree with me, Jamie players, my Jamie brothers, if you disagree with me, that's fine. But I think Dalsum wins this matchup for sure. I think Dalsum has a lot more going for him in terms of the momentum with the air fireball and the forward fireball. It's just hard for Jamie to navigate and get drinks reliably because he has Stand Fierce. Not only does he have Stand Fierce, but he has the OD up fireball to kind of check you. You can't really reliably get drinks, and it's just kind of a thing where you have to work for your damage. It's just that simple. When you take away the ability for Jamie to get his drinks reliably, it's always bad. So I don't want there to be any like confusion in terms of just because he can't get drinks, it's a winning matchup. It's never going to be that way. If you stop him from mastering his drink mechanic, it's never good. So I think he slightly wins. Honda. So where exactly do I want to put this guy? Obviously Headbutt's really annoying, and so is Butt Slam. But I think Jamie has really good options against Honda in terms of Crouch medium punching his headbutt on reaction. And I think Stand Fierce wins against it too? Or does it trade? It probably trades. But yeah, I think Jamie has good options because he can jump roundhouse the Butt Slam into drive rush, crouch jab into a special and push him to the corner. So I think if you have the right matchup knowledge, I think it's pretty good for Jamie. Honda's kind of tough. I feel like if I put him here in a slightly winning matchup, I'll get lots of negative comments about it. But I feel like if I put him even, there's really no way I can get any like different opinions. You know, I think we can collectively agree that headbutt is annoying to get drinks. You have to use your knockdowns to get drinks, so it's not really that reliable. And your perfect parry game against the special moves of the mini game has to be perfect. So it's just like, it's basically exactly like Dalsum. Your perfect parries have to be really good to manage getting away from him. And Honda has a lot of good pressure and plus frames. So it's really annoying for Jamie to get him off of you once he knocks you down. Ken, I don't think this is a very fun matchup to go through with Jamie, but I will say Ken wins for sure. There's no way you say Ken goes even or loses in this matchup. It absolutely will be Ken winning, because his normals are stronger, his Stand Fierce is really good, his checks against Jamie's drive rush is really strong. I've checked it many times with Ken. Ken is my secondary. Every time I fought a Jamie in ranked, crouching medium punch, so much of a hitbox, it's so strong against Jamie's drive rush. And there's just not many situations you can tell me where Jamie can reliably get the Bakai, because Ken can just fight you on the ground with his normals. He doesn't have to throw fireballs. He's basically a brawler. He doesn't have to do what Ryu and Luke and Guile and every other fireball character does, because the OD fireball is more going to be towards comboing and stuff like that, and maybe chipping at your drive gauge and stuff like that. And you're probably going to do it in block strings. You're not really going to throw fireballs at him on the ground when you can just kind of chuck a bunch of normals at him, right? And it feels like Ken's a lot more stronger and neutral. I just feel like he has more going for him. Jamie has to work a little bit harder on the ground with footsies, and the drinks. I mean, he can get drinks pretty reliably against Ken, but it's just like, once you deal with Jinrai and stuff like that. Something I did kind of realize, though, is that is that his stand jab in one drink, his target combo actually punishes Jinrai close up. So that I actually didn't know. I didn't actually know that that was a thing until now. So apparently you can punish his Jinrai up close or a little bit inside his range, but I don't know how tight the timing is. I have to test it. But I think Ken is a winning matchup for sure. Blanca. All right. Okay, why don't I just go to the matchups that he wins? I might get some heat for this. I think Geef is probably the only. Well, do I want to put him? Do I want to put this as Jamie's only 6'4"? Jamie wins this matchup for sure, but is it that bad, or is it just like a 5.5 kind of thing? I kind of think it might be a 5.5 thing, because Geef did get a couple of buffs. Because this is still season 2 of Street Fighter 6. This is not season 3 with Elena, so we don't know. We don't exactly know where Geef is gonna get. It could get worse for Geef, and he could get nerfed to the ground, and then Jamie just smokes him 6'4", and then we call it a day. But in his current state, he is really strong. He did get buffed a little bit this season, so do I want to put him 5.5? Because honestly, I will say, I have Marissa in 5.5 for winning matchups, and who else? Yeah, I think that's it. So those are probably the two characters that I think he has a slight advantage over, but at the same time, I'm going to keep Marissa in 5.5 and I'm going to keep Geef in 6'4", just because Geef, his palms are really strong in keeping him out. Geef has to constantly drive rush to get in and stop him from drinking for free, which he basically gets anyway. As for Marissa, it's a little easier to stop Jamie from getting drinks with Marissa with the Superman Punch and drive rush stand fierce. The palms are pretty much guaranteed against Marissa too, so, and as long as you have a read on her special move timings, you can pretty much stop her from doing anything. That's probably the only winning matchups. Blanca, I would say... See, this is why. I don't have enough data in terms of these matchups to kind of go into it too hard. I just kind of go off based on what I struggle with. The level 2 mix-ups is what gets me. But Blanca still has to work a bit harder to get the knockdown and stuff like that until he gets level 2. Everything else is just kind of Jamie can be as patient as he can, and Blanca has to take all the risks. I would say this is even because of level 2, but 5.5 without level 2, if that makes sense. So for his entire toolkit, it's 100%. It's 100% even with his entire toolkit with level 2. Level 2 will dictate everything. So let's go for a couple of the characters that he loses to. He definitely loses to Akuma. I don't think Akuma is 6'4". I mean, do I think it's 6'4"? I'll go full disclosure. I think Rashid's 5.5, but I do think Aki is a 6'4". I think Aki is a 6'4" matchup. I think obviously it's not like the most it's not as bad as Guile, but it's still bad in terms of Aki chips away at your drive gauge a lot, and the poison does make you really desperate in neutral, and you kind of have to work really hard to get in. Because even though her fireball is really slow, it's not as fast as Guile's. You still have to get your level 2 drinks to surpass it, and most of the time you're full screen waiting for her to do something and you can't get to her in time, so she can just kind of drive rush in your face with fireball drive rush. But it's kind of funny that I have Aki in 6'4" and Jury in 5.5, because Jury's pressure with fireball drive rush is exactly the same almost. It's just that Aki's buttons with drive rush are kind of more crazy in terms that they kind of hurt what Jamie can do on the defensive side. So I don't know. I feel like Aki is a little bit harder just because her poison mechanic and everything else, and her damage is just much higher than Jury's. But yeah, that's my take on it. DJ also a 5.5, I would say. I would say DJ wins because yeah, his buttons are just ridiculous. He punishes most of my stuff. If I whiff a palm in his face, it's pretty much like half my life, and if I don't check his drive rush, that's another half-life situation. And it's just really frustrating to deal with. His drive rush is much better than mine, so I have to make a lot of reads on what his habits are going to be, like battling and combating the sway with drive rush stand fierce and stuff like that. His fireballs are not exactly like the most crazy, but I would say it's still really hard to deal with DJ's entire toolkit, you know? But yeah, I think DJ wins for sure. Where do I want to put JP? Because where do I want to put JP? JP is kind of interesting because he did get nerfed, but then they reverted him, so he's still really strong. He's got back his crutch fierce anti-air, and Jamie does have to do a lot of work. So I guess I could confidently put him in 6'4". JP does control the neutral against Jamie really well. Jamie's toolkit is just too hard to surpass in a swift motion. It's just not really getting drinks as hard, you know? He has full screen zoning that can constantly persist, and if you make the wrong decision, you're basically you're going to take free damage just for trying to get a drink off. Yes, if you play patient enough, you can get the drinks, but he has level 2, and he has Pierce, and he has the ghosts that keep you from staying away and getting drinks. But I will say, Jamie's Drive Rush is really, really solid against JP, so he has a full screen Drive Rush forward heavy kick. So I'm tempted to go 5.5, but it's such a really, really hard matchup to overcome, and unless you're like got impeccable reactions and like really good matchup knowledge, this matchup is just really tough for Jamie. Really hard to navigate the zoning. Anything where fireballs are a factor, he either loses or is like it's either even slightly or really loses really badly. The only reason I put Ken in 5.5 and Ryu in even is because Ryu's fireballs are easier to deal with in terms of you just perfect parry, and he has a little bit. Ken does have a little bit more recovery on his fireball, so it's a little bit easier to punish Ken. But still, all he has to do is fight you on the ground. He's a brawler, whereas Ryu is the main zoner. So anything with like a regular speeded fireball, it's not going to be that big of a deal. Chun-Li's can travel at a very slow pace, so she can drive rush behind it, so that's why 5.5 seems to make more sense here. Manon, obviously it's a universal thing, when she gets her medals, she's a menace. But in terms of fighting Jamie, I think I do pretty well in this matchup now. I used to struggle with this constantly. I used to struggle against her like on the daily. There would never be a time where I didn't struggle on this character the very first part of this game, but I feel like I'm starting to get a little bit better at it. I'm trying to find this thing where I stay out of her like heavy flip kick range, and I go for like a whiff punish stand fierce with drive rush, because on reaction I think you could punish counter with drive rush on her. And also stand heavy kick is like the god button in this matchup, to where she has to take way too many risks to kind of get lots of damage on Jamie. But when she gets the medals, she's a menace, so it's obviously the momentum. Oh, this is a momentum fight for sure. If she gets medals, she's going to steamroll him. If he gets drinks, he's going to maul her. So it's a momentum battle. But is it a matchup where Manon has better options than Jamie? She has good options, but at the same time, Jamie's still locked behind these drinks, and it's just like, I'm going to go even. I'll go even. I struggled with her before, but I don't struggle as bad, but I still lose to really good Manons who can navigate her neutral better. Like Idom would probably smoke me just at a general skill. Obviously he's better than me by a mile, but in terms of consistency in the matchup, it's pretty even to me. Their buttons are pretty decent. She has good buttons on the ground. When she gets her medals, she's very strong, and Jamie has good buttons as well and can really turn the tide in the matchup if he gets the right drinks. And he doesn't have to use Bukai to get any of them. He can just kind of use his buttons and keep her out with palms and anti-air her appropriately. So it's either 5.5 or even. But for right now, I'm gonna go even, just because I feel like the only matchups he has any like general baseline in, like a general advantage, is Geef and Marissa. I feel like those characters I can confidently say he wins and does a decent amount of damage to. Cammy's very interesting. I don't exactly know where to put her, because it's more of a stacked matchup, but there's a lot of layers to this matchup in terms of being on the ground and dive kicks. But I feel like the more I play this matchup, the momentum is more on Cammy's side, because her dive kick is not as minus as Jamie's. So, plus hers is more effective, and her buttons are better, and I feel like Jamie has to take more of the risks to kind of do what he wants to do. So I feel like this is more of a 5.5 Cammy. I think she definitely wins this matchup. There's no like advantage for Jamie in terms of a Cammy matchup, but he can definitely fight her for sure. Stand Fierce blows up her dive kick. He has a DP, an OD reversal, so you can keep her out. With that stuff, you can palm them in neutral and get drinks pretty reliably. Yeah, some of them will probably light drill you in neutral, but it's not a thing where Cammy will dominate it that like 100% of the time. It's not a thing where Cammy will dominate 100% of the time. So it's whatever you want to call it. If you want to call it even, that's cool. I think she wins, but she doesn't smoke them. The Jamie player just has to be ready for the dive kicks with Stand Fierce or DP, and just kind of play footsies on the ground and just kind of block all the fake stuff and just kind of take a few more throws than usual. But I definitely think that Cammy has a lot of momentum in this matchup and just can kind of make it a little harder for Jamie to adjust, but he can still fight her. I have a little bit more success than usual against Cammy, but when she gets going, it's really hard to get her off of you. Lily, her buttons are really, really good. So it's either even or 5.5. For me, I'm going to go 5.5. So her buttons are really annoying. Back Fierce is really hard to whip punish. Crouch Fierce is really hard to punish. And her Condor Spire is a menace. I can't stress enough how much situational awareness you have to check this move. And getting drinks is almost next to impossible, unless she has no win stocks. So once she gets her win stocks, it's really annoying to get her off of you. So getting drinks is kind of annoying because of her Condor Spire and her normals. They can just hit you out of it. Even though Jamie has the offensive side in terms of when Lily gets knocked down, it's really hard because she doesn't have a real reversal unless it's super. They did buff her level 1 though, so she does have some reversal potential. And in terms of being able to fight her on the ground is really hard, so he has to deliberately drive rush to get in. So it's way too many risks to call it safe, and even playing slow, Lily will win in the slow game. So I don't know, Lily just seems a little bit more harder than usual. Same with Ed. I think Ed's a 5.5. I think Bison is a 5.5 because they both have really good buttons and stop Jamie from drinking. And so for Bison specifically, the Devil's Reverse is not as hard to deal with, but his damage is just so high, and his scissor kick is just really hard to punish unless you have target combo. So target combo will be a nice savior for you in this matchup, but getting drinks is almost impossible when he has scissor kick in neutral. It's just so stupid. And then Devil's Reverse, he can mess up your DP timing and mess up your anti-airs and stuff like that. So you have to be so ready with the jump roundhouse. It's just really silly. It's a silly matchup to where he can stop your momentum pretty quick. And yeah, you have to play really patient against Bison, and he can just kind of impose his will on you. So Jamie can fight him for sure, obviously. I'm not going to say it's like as demoralizing as the 3 zoners up top, but it's hard. It's not really that fun to deal with. Terry, OD Fireball is annoying. His Burn Knuckle is really hard to perfect parry on reaction online, and I don't know if it is offline, but 801 Strider says that Burn Knuckle is pretty easy to perfect parry, and says that you have to lab it, which I agree. I would think you have to if you want to be really good in this game against Terry. But is it easy to perfect parry on reaction? That's for other people to decide. For me specifically, it's not. But that's because I'm not really at the same level as them. But I don't know. It just feels a little bit more annoying than it doesn't. I don't like it. I don't like Burn Knuckle. It's really annoying, and his OD Fireball puts you in a really bad spot. And I think Terry's neutral in terms of the level 2 damage, the buff on his Stand Fierce makes it so Jamie has to block more. But I will say that OD Bakai does go through Terry's fireballs very reliably. I want to say it's even, but I feel like some people won't let me do that. Just for the sake of my win-loss record against Terry, I think he will win just because he does what Jamie does better, and the fact that he's not held back by a mechanic. He can just kind of Burn Knuckle anytime he wants and get Oki anytime he wants. He doesn't have to get a resource, which is kind of basic for anything. But I would say for now, Terry wins out of the sheer fact that getting drinks isn't as easy with his Fireball, and his Drive Rush, Stand Fierce, and just his block strings and stuff like that are really hard to deal with. Jamie's buttons are pretty good against him, though. I will say Stand Medium Kick is really good against his low 4 Drive Rush. So if you catch Terry trying to hit you with low forward a lot, Stand Medium Kick will probably blow that up many more times than none. So I will say Jamie's buttons are really good for him on the ground, but Terry's damage and his OD Fireball pressure into his Drive Rush, Stand Fierce is kind of hard. But yeah, Jamie can definitely fight him on the ground. It's just that Terry doesn't have to take as many risks as Jamie does to get his resources. So for now, I'll put him in 5.5. And for now, I don't have that much of a hard time against Mai. Like, I know she has OD Fan, but in my experience against her, it's never really been like the worst thing on the planet, you know? I've never had a moment where she's like constantly wrecking me in the corner and it's like, I can't fight back. I can. So at that point, I'm going to put her at 5.5. Like, she is a losing matchup for Jamie, but it's not like stupid bad. It's not like Guile. Like, I think Jamie can fight her on the ground in the Footsie War really well. He can get drinks decently because OD Fan doesn't travel very fast. So as long as you get the perfect parry timings down and stuff like that, you can kind of punish her OSs too when it comes to the throws with Bakai. So there's specific things you have to master with this matchup, but at the same time, it's not demoralizing like Guile. So I would call it 5.5. Pretty much is about it. Elena's not in the game yet, so you can't really say much about that. There's not much to say here. So if you guys think this tier list was a little bit helpful, make sure you hit that like button down below for me and subscribe if you do not want to miss out on any fighting game content on the channel. This is my Jamie matchup tier list. I have the most trouble against Guile, Aki, and JP, but they are matchups that I'm definitely starting to understand more the more I play them. But I would say the most annoying for me right now would be Aki, Jury, Dulcim, and probably DJ. I would say are probably the most annoying matchups for me right now. Ed is pretty hard too, and so is Lily, but just a couple honorable mentions. But I would still say Geef is probably his best matchup for sure, and Marissa is pretty good for him as well. But she's faster than Geef, so she can kind of get in a little quicker. But her inconsistencies hold her back a little bit. But Geef definitely has a harder time getting in against Jamie. Hit the like button down below for us if you found it interesting or helpful at all. My Jamie brothers, let me know what you guys think in the comments, and let me know who you would change on this list. Because I'm not top level, but I am high level, and I am enough, I would say, to where my opinion can actually go out onto the public. So let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys in the next video. This has been the Loewenator. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.